Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this Air France message. With Air France, your journey to France begins when you set foot on the plane, starting with a complimentary glass of champagne in every class. And in business and La Première, savor a 5-course meal with cheese and wine and unique menus created by some of the greatest French chefs. Enjoy a taste of France before you arrive. Bon appétit! Elegance is a journey. Air France.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living in Santa Barbara. Today, we're diving into an uplifting story about Santa Barbara Humane, or SB Humane. It's an organization that's so much more than just an animal shelter. They're changing lives every day, and not just for animals, but for people too. From life-saving veterinary care to innovative adoption programs and even a doggy fashion show, their unique approach is making a difference in our community. In this episode, you'll hear inspiring stories of second chances, creative solutions, and the incredible bond between human and animals. Whether you're a pet lover or just need a feel-good story, this one will leave you smiling. Stay tuned and let's welcome Kerri Burns, CEO of SB Humane.
Hi, Kerri Burns. Hi. We just got a tour of the Santa Barbara Humane Society facility, right?
Exactly.
Just Santa Barbara Humane. We actually dropped our word society.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can tell you why about that in a little bit. But yeah, it was, I hope you enjoyed the tour. You got to see the dogs and the cats, and it was built in the 1960s. You could see how small our space is, but hope you understood how much great work we do.
It's amazing.
We started in 1887, so we're one of the oldest humane organizations actually in the United States. There's a question about whether we're like fourth or fifth, but, think about it, 1887.
Yeah.
Cats were not even thought of as pets back then, right? If you think about it, and dogs were pretty much ranch dogs.
Yeah.
So if you think about the 1887 to where we are coming up on 2025.
Yeah.
Let's look at the progression. So cats didn't really exist, and dogs were clear out on the ranches. And then dogs started coming up into the yards. Then they started coming up, and then I think that's probably when cats appeared. I don't know. And then they came into the house, and now where are they? I know for me, they're in my bed. So we've really come a long way with what we feel and how we treat animals in our lives. They're just part of our family.
We even have animal fashion.
We do have animal fashion. Yes, we had a great fashion show here.
Oh, I know.
That was amazing. All the costumes. Yeah.
I mean, I knew about the Humane Society, Santa Barbara Humane. It caught my attention was because of the doggy fashion show at the Miramar Rosewood. That was so funny.
It was. And there were so many people. Yeah. It was amazing. And people loved their pets. They dressed up. It was the dogs and the people looked alike.
Yeah.
And did a whole voting section when the parade. It was amazing.
It was unbelievable.
They came up from Los Angeles. They came from all over the place.
Yeah.
Just to enter this.
How did you get the word out?
The Miramar.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so supportive of this community.
Yeah.
They're supportive of pets in this community. And they said, would you come and be our animal welfare group? And we said, absolutely, we would love to partner with you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so we had a booth, and there was a lot of other vendors that were there that were local, and actually some from out of town. And so we were part of the judging.
Yeah.
I judged with Jane Lynch, who was there, which was great.
Yeah.
And, we actually got some of the proceeds from that, which is fantastic.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thank you.
You seem like you're definitely a pro.
I just enjoy telling our story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for saying that.
So there is a lot to the story. So it's one of the oldest organizations. I mean, why Santa Barbara? You know what I'm saying?
Santa Barbara is such a special and magical place anyways.
Yeah.
That people are like, oh, Santa Barbara. And I think it kind of gives us that legacy of, we were really one of the first cities and county to say, hey, we need to do something about pets in our lives. Where other cities and counties all over the United States weren't really doing anything. We said, we need to have animal welfare positive, treatment in place.
Do you think it was because it was more of a rural area that it allowed that, culture to develop?
I think that was part of it. A couple things. One, the initial animal welfare concern was horses.
Oh, yeah.
Do they have enough water? Are they well cared for? And in the founding in 1887, it was a group of volunteers who which is what spurs on most movements, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones that said, we need to make sure that these horses downtown who are supplying so much for this community in 1887, that they're cared for. Because without them, we can't get supplies coming in and out. And so they really started this movement.
Yeah.
And since then, we've learned there's more and more and more, and obviously much more than just horses.
Oh, yeah.
It's dogs are the most adoptable.
Yeah.
Cats are second. Cats would hate to hear that, but they are. And then rabbits are the third most adoptable animal in the United States. So people are more prone to the dogs where they can actually go out and walk them on a leash or take them to the beach or show them off at a parade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then with cats, we're learning we can do, a lot more. And there's been more cat people than rabbit people.
Yeah.
So.
Was it something that developed here because, Santa Barbara is a place of abundance? You feel kind of there's a freedom here. And then when people are happier, they tend to treat others with more respect.
I think that's a great statement. And I think it's probably very true.
Yeah.
We talked about this, before. Animals have so much more to teach us than we'll ever learn in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Because we don't open up to the lessons they're teaching us. And it goes true with humans. With each other, we have a tendency to just kind of shut off our brains and judge.
Yeah.
And not really listen to what you're saying, where animals are so open and they're like, I love you no matter what. You just left me for 8 hours. Wait, now you're home. I still love you. Where your husband or wife or partner or whatever would be like, where have you been for 8 hours? And why didn't you tell me you were going somewhere?
Yeah.
It's a different dynamic. So there's, again, so many lessons that we can learn from the animals in our lives. Yeah.
So we just got a tour of the facility. I'm so impressed. You've been here 7 years?
It'll be 7 years in February. Yeah. It's, this has been quite the journey for me.
Yeah.
I've worked with shelters all across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, and Australia. So I've seen a lot of different things. And I also did 10 years of disaster response. So think about Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, wow.
9/11.
Yeah.
I did the largest.
There?
I actually saw the plane hit the Pentagon.
You're kidding.
And because we were at a conference in D.C. and we had an emergency animal rescue vehicle. And we actually took it up to New York. The team did. And we didn't rescue animals.
Yeah.
But think of all the photos of the first responders that were out there trying to go through the rubble and the debris.
Oh, my God.
And they were all masked up and geared up.
Yeah.
Think about the dogs that were doing the search and rescue.
Oh, my God.
They didn't have any gear on.
Oh,
so they had to be decontaminated every day and washed down and all of that. My team went did that.
Who were you working for when all this happened?
That was American Humane Association, and they've got a great team that does a lot of the rescue work.
Okay.
So that happened. I did the largest pit bull fighting ring bust at the time in U.S. history with the FBI.
Where was
that?
It was
a tri-state. It was in Kansas and Missouri, just a couple of different states going on at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So that was interesting. So we would go into these big disaster situations and help. One of the biggest stories that I learned as I went into different shelters in different places was when we were in Katrina, and it wasn't necessarily the hurricane, right, that caused all the flooding. It was the levee breaks and everything. And all these people were displaced, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, we all need to go down there because there's so many animals running around in Katrina. We have to help them all.
Was that the case?
Well, that was the wrong statement, because the question should have been asked, how many animals were running around in New Orleans prior to Katrina?
Oh.
And there were quite a few because the community was different.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the community, what I learned when I got there is they went up, they fed the dogs in the morning.
Yeah.
They went to work, they opened the door, and the dogs just free roamed everywhere.
Oh, you're kidding.
It was just a community thing. That was their culture.
Yeah.
So you cannot instill one city into another and assume that it's all going to work.
Yeah.
So most of the animals were actually rehomed. Those that were not were actually shipped out to other shelters and were adopted out.
Okay.
So for example, what I learned from that is, because I've worked in so many different shelters, I can't expect Santa Barbara to be Los Angeles or New York or, Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They're so different. And that's where you need to pay attention to your own community.
Yeah.
What the needs are and how you can help. So when I came here almost 7 years ago, I was in Chicago prior to being here.
Okay. Totally different. In
Totally
the suburbs
different.
or in the city?
In the city.
Oh, okay.
I was in the city, and
Yeah.
I actually worked for an old cat shelter.
Okay.
It was very quiet.
Yeah.
As you can imagine,
Oh my God.
right? But a lot of purring going on. And I was doing interim executive work. And my recruiters said to me, where do you want to go next after your contract's up here? And I said, I want a place that I can make a difference and has the mountains and the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
No joke. 2 weeks later, they
No
said, how about
way.
Santa Barbara? And I said, now all I have to do is get the job. And so at the time we had
So there wasn't an opening.
There was an opening.
Oh, there
yes,
was?
yes,
Okay.
there was an opening. But I had to be hired by the board of directors because we are a local nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so they hired me in and they were so understanding, and it gave me a lot of, respect for what I do and said, let's make a change.
Oh, wow.
And so that board really brought this to life and saying, we're going to do this different, and we're going to do it for the animals and for the people of this community. When I got here, everything we did was on 3x5 index cards.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't have a database.
I know.
I'm like, what century am I in? What is going on?
That's how I felt when I moved here too. I swear to God.
Oh my gosh.
No, back in the, 2001? Yeah. Because I was in tech.
Oh, okay. Big change. You understand that.
Coming from San Francisco. I was
yeah.
And I came to Santa Barbara. Nothing against Santa Barbara. It's a great place to live. It's a totally different culture.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that very quickly.
Yeah.
But we didn't even have a donor database.
Oh, no.
We've been around since 1887. How are we raising money?
Yeah.
Right? I asked the same question. We have been so thankful and lucky because throughout the years, again, this is a long time, when people died, they left us in their will.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were able to build an endowment from that. Yeah. Now we have a whole marketing team because we need to get the word out about what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Before all we did was adoptions and we did some boarding.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember that.
Yeah. And we stopped doing boarding because boarding really isn't part of our mission.
Yeah.
We're here to help the animals that need the help. And if you can afford to board, I want to support local businesses in Santa Barbara. So, go help our local businesses do that. So we dropped doing that, the boarding, but our other services have just blown up. We've increased our services by 25% at least year over year for the last 7 years. So we do adoptions.
But you've increased I'm sorry.
All of our programs have increased by 25% year over year.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a business.
Yes.
Right? I mean, because really at the end of the day, kind of what we are. So as a local nonprofit, the only way we can survive is from our community. Yeah. Stepping up and saying, yes, you're there and you're helping the animals.
Yeah.
And we help, obviously, the animals who need the help.
Yeah.
But we also help the community. So, for example, our different services, we have adoptions. Everyone knows us for adoptions. But we have veterinary services. So we do exams, vaccinations. You can come here for a dental.
Yeah.
You can come here for mass removal, anything but emergency services.
Now, is that a regular price or is it a discounted price?
It's at a discounted price because we want to make sure that everyone has access. And the good news is, if you can't afford it, talk to us because our donors have given us the money to say, let's pay for that surgery. Or whatever that is, so that you can keep your animal in your home.
That's amazing.
So last year we spent over $500,000 to give back to pay for free surgeries and free vaccines for families.
Is the demand higher than what you can give? Or I'm just wondering.
It is. So there's a shortage of veterinarians across the United States. Yeah. That's just one of the industries now. And they say it's going to take anywhere between 7 to 10 years to recover. So anyone looking to go into vet school, it's a good time to go in there right now. But we're also a training hospital for vet students. I currently have 9 full-time veterinarians. We have great vet teams. We have RVTs because we realized that, especially during the pandemic, people couldn't afford veterinary care and trying to get into a vet would take months. Our current wait time, depending on what you need, is anywhere from a few days to maybe 2 weeks. We're doing a great job.
Wow.
We also work with our local veterinarians because they also have their specialty and we want to support local businesses. So we work hand in hand. For example, if somebody goes to their local vet here in Santa Barbara and says, we just looked at your animal. It's going to cost you X amount for surgery. That vet may refer them to us.
Wow.
So it's a win-win for this community and making sure animals are treated well.
How are you setting up all of these programs? Okay, by the way, we forgot to tell everybody who you are.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
right.
I'm Kerri Burns. I'm the CEO for Santa Barbara Humane.
Exactly.
That's who I am, right?
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Which hat
Just
do I
start
have on?
talking.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Everyone knows me.
How are you able to develop so many programs all at the same time? That's amazing.
It is. I have a bit of a type A personality.
Yeah.
And I have an amazing team.
What, like of 100?
Almost. I wish. Some days I don't wish because that's a lot. We currently have 66 staff. But we have 2 campuses, right?
Okay,
Santa Barbara and Santa Maria.
Yeah, it's a pretty good staff.
It is good staff. And my staff, the philosophy is, how do we get to yes? Let's get to yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's helping you with rehoming your animal or surgery or dog training. We also offer dog training classes.
Yeah.
So if we realize that people are coming to us and going, I'm turning my dog in because it's misbehaving.
Mm-hmm.
Well, instead of us just going, oh, okay, we'll take your dog in, we need to be proactive and go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What if we offered you training classes?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, we trained over 1,000 animals.
Mm-hmm.
Those were 1,000 animals that would have entered the shelter had we not set up training programs.
Yeah.
So we hired trainers, we hired behaviorists. Mm-hmm. So that's when we listen to the community.
Mm-hmm. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Shelters, unfortunately, have to work a lot of times in a reactive mode.
Yeah.
They're coming in left and right and they don't know what to do, or they're underfunded, or the government, like Santa Barbara County Animal Services, is funded by the government, where we're funded by our donors here in the community. So completely different.
Yeah.
They have a different mission than we do. They work with strays and enforcement. That's their job. Mm-hmm. We take in owner surrenders. We also help out with strays. We can do veterinary services. So we can create what's needed for the animals in this community as a nonprofit, which makes it fantastic.
I know.
So we just keep saying, my team is like, hey, let's try this program. It's like, well, let's do it. And if it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. We go back to doing what we were doing. But if you don't try it, that's when you question yourself and go, oh my gosh, could we have gotten ahead of this 3 years earlier? Mm-hmm. I'm very thankful we're in a space here in Santa Barbara where we can be proactive.
Yeah.
And really spend the time with our people. For example, the one thing that we do and my staff does really well is, let's say you have to turn in your dog for some reason. Mm-hmm. My staff is going to spend more time up front talking to you and saying, how can we help you?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
And then if we can get you to take that dog back home, guess what? It's another animal that hasn't entered a shelter.
Exactly.
Here's an example of this.
How many times does that work out?
Oh, it works out a majority of the time, honestly.
Oh, great.
It really does because people don't know what resources they have.
Yeah.
So here's an example. I was up in Santa Maria and a gentleman, big guy, came up in his big pickup truck and he had these 2 big dogs.
Okay.
And he came up and he told the staff, he said, I need to turn in one of my dogs. And these dogs were jumping on him like this is our dad. Yeah. They didn't know what was going on.
Oh, yeah, the poor things.
But he was very stoic.
Yeah.
I need to turn in one dog. And the staff was like, well, tell us more.
Yeah.
How can we help you? And he's like, I just need to turn in one dog. Mm-hmm. Can't keep 2 dogs. Mm-hmm. And some people don't like to say how they're feeling.
Well,
right?
Having 2 dogs is like having 10 dogs.
For some people, for sure. My staff had a conversation with this gentleman for almost 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he finally said, I can't afford food for 2 dogs.
Oh, that was it?
That was it.
Oh, wow.
But because we spent the time, we went back and got him bags of dog food and said, until you get back on your feet, we're going to support you. And there was nothing better than to watch him, his 2 dogs get back in the truck and drive off.
That's amazing.
Because the family stayed together. Mm-hmm. It's stories like that is the reason that we do our work.
And that's what motivates you.
It does. Every day. And again, it's how do we get to yes? How do we listen to you? Because if we don't take that time, we would have just said, sure, we'll take your dog. Yeah. Next person comes in, sure, we'll take your cat. Sure, we'll take your dog.
Oh my God, will you run for president?
Yeah, thought about that, but no, I won't.
Yeah, it's so funny.
No, we have to be creative.
Absolutely.
We can never feel like we're stuck in a box.
Yeah.
And, again, my team has so much input in what we do and how we do things because they're the front lines. They hear the stories.
Yeah.
They see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons that we expanded our veterinary care was, this is another great story. We had this family that with children and they loved their dog and they took it to a local vet and the vet said the surgery is going to cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And so they thought they had no other choice but to turn the dog in. And so they turned it into Santa Barbara County Animal Services.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the other one. Okay.
And County Animal Services called us.
Oh, okay.
And said, hey, this dog got surrendered.
Yeah.
We know you do have a great surgery team. Can you take on this surgery? And we're like, oh, it's a big surgery, but yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So you guys are working cooperatively, like you
with
have
all
a
the
good
groups.
connection. Yeah.
We do. We're there to help out however we can.
Yeah.
So we did the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Took several weeks for the dog to recover because remember, this is a big surgery. The family had no idea what had happened to this dog.
Oh, no.
They thought they turned it in and who knows, right? We actually called this family and said, hi, we're Santa Barbara Humane. County called us. We have your dog and we just want you to know that we did surgery on your dog and your dog is doing fine. And the woman on the other end of the phone said, we have been praying every single day that our dog is okay.
Yeah.
And then we said,
don't make me cry.
Well, you might.
Okay.
But I love this story makes me cry just like every time I say it. But then we said to her, would you like your dog back? And when those kids showed up with that woman and took their dog home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And even just that one story, I could tell you a million of the same stories.
Yeah.
But again, it's an animal who was cared for. Right? Yeah, just use your shirt sleeve for it. No, there should be some over there. Yeah, but it's stories like that. And this is why we do our work each and every day.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
And this is why our donors donate to us so that we have, I'm okay right now. Thank you. Right. We'll just keep that there.
Oh my gosh, buddy.
But this is the support that our donors give us to allow us to do the work that we do.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because that's, we get our money two different ways. Fundraising, which we just started a few years ago, and from our programs. But as any nonprofit, your fundraising is your biggest component.
Yeah. And
the biggest thing with any humane organization across the United States, everyone thinks there's a national group. There's not. There is, but no one's connected.
Okay.
So every single humane organization
or on their own
is local to their own community.
Oh,
they don't get funding from the Humane Society of the United States.
Yeah.
There's commercials from another large group in New York where performers will sing and you see the sad dogs behind the cages.
Yeah.
No one gets money from that. Every dime raised is
Who gets money
local.
for that?
That one organization, that national organization.
Oh, okay.
Now, the Humane Society of the United States, they're actually changing their name in 2025, which will help, I hope, because everyone thinks we're connected, but we're not. They do a lot of lobbying, and they're really good at that.
Okay.
The ASPCA in New York has a lot of resources, and they do a lot of offerings, but they have a shelter in New York. So every Humane Society, every SPCA is not connected. We're all individually run and we're local.
Wow.
And that's one of the biggest, because I'll talk to some people and they're like, oh, I give to you all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, well, your name's not on here. Yeah. And they're giving to a national organization thinking it's coming down to us, and it's not.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge message that we've all been trying to say, no, give local.
Yeah.
And I love that several years back, I think it was, even other businesses, right, said shop local, give local.
Yeah.
Goes for all the animal organizations too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a lot of educating you're trying to do.
It is.
Yeah. There's a lot, even just with your staff, it's all in the staff to educate the public. I mean, there's it's all about education.
It is.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about animal welfare is most people get into this industry because they just want to pet puppies and kittens all day.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yet our biggest challenge is communication with humans.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to, like you said, become educators.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to people
Mm-hmm.
for folks that want to just come pet puppies and kittens can be very difficult.
Yeah.
So I love, and
how do you break that barrier? I mean, does that happen often?
Oh, it does. It's hard. And you met some of my staff.
Yeah.
They get it. They're like, if I don't talk to people, I can't help them.
Absolutely.
And the best thing at the end of the day is saying, I helped that family.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it is for people in general. I mean, there's so many lessons that you can apply, that you can take from what you're doing here and apply it to to a whole.
Communication, education, compassion, and love.
Be creative.
And be creative. Yeah. It can't, as long as you're not harming anyone or anything, at least you tried. That's the only way that we progress as a society, right?
Yeah.
Think it through. Have the think tanks, whether it's with the community or with your staff, and say, can we do this?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the end result? What's our hope?
Yeah.
And what happens if we fall short? What do we do? Or do we say we don't do it? And it's okay.
Yeah. And then I feel like that's the whole definition of humane and humanity.
Yeah.
Is trying to understand and trying to make things work out.
Yeah. Having a more humane world overall. I mean, for example, we've changed a couple, small names, like we dropped the word society because we're not part of some society. It makes it sound like it's 1920s secret thing, right? It's not.
Because it was from back then, though.
Right? It was, and we're Santa Barbara proud. Yeah. And we're a humane organization. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that we look at. We also don't call our places shelters. We call them campuses.
Okay.
Because it's a place that you come to learn.
Yeah.
You come to learn about animals. You come to learn about resources. You come to learn about offerings that we have. So it's a learning place, and there's just so many different things that we look at. For example, all the services that I talked about, from dog training to veterinary care to adoptions, intake, all of that. Mm-hmm. Think about it for a moment. We're actually like a social service agency for pets with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And pets without people.
Yeah.
Because we give this holistic approach to helping in a variety of ways. And that's what social service agencies do.
But it's also you're also educating the public about kindness and, being humane to others, including animals. You should respect all beings. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many other organizations that also need you.
Thank you. I can't split myself right now.
How can that happen, though? How can it go beyond Santa Barbara?
You're very kind, and thank you for saying that. Yeah. And I would love for Santa Barbara Humane to be a model. Yeah. Even after I'm, retired and gone. Of course, I'll still help out in this industry, but we have a lot of brilliant young minds. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of great staff here that we're setting up for succession planning and looking at that and saying, you know what? You're next and you can do this. And so setting them up for success in the beginning and we send a lot of staff to conferences. I used to do a lot of training and at the conferences and stuff too. So do
you ever invite people from other shelters
we
here?
Do. We've offered, some of our training classes we've offered to County Animal Services and Santa Ynez Valley and rescue groups. Yeah. The good news is a lot of these courses, are actually available online too to educate our own industry.
Okay.
The problem we go back to with most organizations is they're running in reactive mode and they don't have time. They don't have the resources. That's where we need to say, you know what? You have to spend that time, that small amount of time that you spend in educating yourself on how to make a difference.
Yeah. Will
help to save thousands of animals in the end
and
help
save
so
them
many
time
families
too, and make it just a lot easier.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Yeah. I don't know about your day, but mine is crazy busy.
Yeah.
I literally, and most people need to think about this. In a business world, you need to carve out time for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's for your personal time or even for your carve out 4 hours on your schedule to say, I've got to get all this other crap done that I haven't done this week.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, how far behind are you?
I know.
You'll never catch up. Mm-hmm. So always making sure you create that space and that time. And that's why I love that staff will say, hey, I found this course. I want to do it. Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Exactly.
You come back and you teach the rest of the staff. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way that you can send a consultant out to the others for like a little volunteering.
There is, there is, but again, it's hard for them to find the time and to shut down their business, to stop and do that. But it's available. There are those resources in our industry to do that. I did that for a while, and there's a lot of work. A lot of teaching and training. But you can't just give information. Yeah. You have to do something with it. Mm-hmm. And that's where the ball gets dropped, right? It's like the dog that you throw the ball and they go and pick it up and then they drop it right there. It's like, wait a minute, you were supposed to bring it back. You got to follow through with this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it gets dropped. Yeah, because there's not that. We got to continue to do this. It's consistency. Yeah. That's the only way you learn something is by repetitiveness. And then what do they say? Psychology, it takes like at least 21 days to change a habit. Mm-hmm. Well, we need a little bit more because our world is so busy. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very emotional field. Mm-hmm. I hear people that want to come to the shelter and they're like, oh, you know what though? I could never come there because I would cry or I want to take them all home because of that sad feeling. Mm-hmm. And most shelters, the workers are so emotionally based that it's hard for them. Mm-hmm. And there also people can be cruel. Yeah. Some people come in and they turn in their animals and they're angry. Mm-hmm. And they blame you. It's like, I'm just a shelter worker, And so there's a lot going on from the emotional perspective. There's a lot of compassion fatigue in our industry. Mm-hmm. And that's why for us to stay committed as a team and work together and go, guess what? You're going to have crappy days. Yeah. But you're also going to have 5 good ones. Mm-hmm. You got your support. Let's get through it. And like for me, my staff knows, and you heard one of my staff say this earlier, if I'm having a rough day in my office, they will find me sitting in a kennel, whether it's with a senior dog or puppy or cat or kitten. Yeah. That's my breathing space because I am not judged. Yeah. I am not anything but receiving love at that moment. Yeah, absolutely. And it's an energizer for me. You go back and deal with all the other barrage of stuff that's coming at you left and right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I commend anyone who does get into animal welfare. Yeah. But it's a tough field. Mm-hmm. You cannot expect to come in here and go, yay, I'm playing with puppies and kittens all day. Yeah. We're taking a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Like most car buyers, you want to get the most for your money. That's why more Mazda buyers choose Ramsey Mazda. Get impressive offers on a new Mazda CX-30 or a Mazda CX-5 starting at just $29,276. Over 1,000 new Mazda vehicles to choose from. Visit RamseyMazda.com. Get the most for your money at Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda.
I was just going to ask you, how did you get into this? Was it because you loved animals? Like, how did you end up here? Right. What started it all?
So I was the kid that brought all the animals in the house and said, Mom, Dad, can we keep it? We ended up with all these gerbils. We had dogs. We had, I don't know what we had, all kinds of stuff. And I knew I always loved animals and I was never good with people. Okay. As a child.
Because you were always socializing with the animals.
Yeah, I didn't want to be around people. I just wanted to be around the animals. I actually was a police officer for a while. Okay. And
I could kind of see that.
Yeah, right. Look about me. No, it was a nice one. So I had but 2 people send me flowers, actually. Get it done. Yeah. With a smile. And I also wrote grants, large grants for like state block grants. So I had a lot of background. I'm not afraid to try things in the work world anyways.
Yeah. I've been officer to writing grants.
I've done so many different things. I was in social services for a while and I worked with foster kids. So I was always the giving industry. But finally what happened was I was living in Arizona and there was an opening at PetSmart Charities for someone to review grants for animal welfare organizations. And I thought, well, I can write grants. I can read. I can do this. Yeah. I love animals. And I would get to give out money to animal welfare groups. Yeah. I had gone through everything else I wanted to try and do. Yeah. And I didn't feel I was smart enough to be a veterinarian and just parts of that were like, I don't want to do that. And I didn't know you could have a job in animal welfare.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought everybody was volunteers, right?
Okay.
Because I was like, I have to make a living or my parents will not be happy.
Were you, was your family in Arizona?
No, my family was all spread out all over the place.
Yeah.
So I got in and I did that and I loved it. Learned so much about the industry.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many acronyms in our industry. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
I learned about places all over the world, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then one day, this huge wildfire broke out in northern Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call at PetSmart Charities. And they said, we have a huge wildfire breakout. We need to create all kinds of space for these dogs and cats that we're taking in from this fire. We need bowls and food and leashes and crates. And because I was a former police officer, I knew the logistical, language and what we needed to do to get this stuff moved and done in an emergency situation.
Yeah, interesting.
And they were like, who are you? And how do you know this stuff? And I'm like,
that's what I'm thinking. Who are you?
Right?
Yeah.
So they were, thankful that PetSmart Charities was able to get all this stuff out there. And they said, you should come up and see what we're doing. And I said, I would love that.
Yeah.
So I went up there and within 24 hours, I was actually behind the fire lines with the rescue team, pulling out animals from houses.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And so I was like, this is what I love doing. This is kind of that adrenaline rush for me.
You just roll up your sleeves and you just get right in there.
You got to help.
Yeah.
Part of my personality, I guess, is doing that. So anyways, and then that's when I transitioned over to working with the American Humane Association and doing national disaster work.
Okay.
And that really gave me even a deeper insight into community and shelters.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally one day, this was, I don't know how many years afterwards, a friend of mine kept saying, you need to come work for our shelter. Mm-hmm. You're creative, you're fun. And I'm like, no way. I would be so bored working in a shelter. I'm just too woo. She said, no, you should do this. This is in Tucson.
Okay.
And I said, no, it's too boring. Mm-hmm. She kept calling me and asking. I'm like, nope. And so one day I was down in Mexico, flooding situation. Our rescue team was down there and the phone rang. And I had literally all my wetsuit stuff on, had a dog in my arm,
had
my phone, here, and the phone rang. And I'm like, yep.
You're like first responder.
That was one of right? Yeah, that's what our team did. It was first responders for all the pets. And it was my friend. And she said, hey, you want to come work for us? And I'm like, looking down at myself, thinking, you know what? My body's getting a little tired jumping off buildings in and out of boats and all this. And I said, I'll come talk to you as soon as I get back.
Yeah.
And then I took my first interim executive position. And I said, I'll do this for a few months. Let's get some things changed and turned around. Let's look at the world differently.
Yeah.
And then I did that with several different organizations.
And you're lucky they allowed you to.
That's the board. Yeah, the boards can make or break a nonprofit organization. Yeah. And I was so lucky and so thankful.
Yeah.
But they could also see the change. And so they kept saying, okay, let's do this. So every community, I hope I left better.
Oh, yeah.
Than when it was. When I took this job here in Santa Barbara, I'm like, this is going to be my permanent job. I'm getting too old for this stuff. I just want to settle down. And, now I've got a house here and I love it here. And it's it's a beautiful community.
It is.
And I just couldn't be happier or luckier to be here.
Yeah.
So I love telling our story.
Yes.
I love and would invite anyone to come. I'm happy to give them tours. We do tours, people can just call and do that.
Yeah.
Because in order for us to grow, our community needs to understand more about us. We're getting ready to go into a whole new phase that we never thought previously that we were going to do. You saw the shelters. It was built in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And I always say it's being held up by duct tape and torn down by termites. It looks pretty from the outside, but it is not functional.
Definitely looks vintage.
It does.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to see the cats and dogs behind these wire concrete walls. And unfortunately, that's what we have. We make the best with what we do.
Yeah.
But we're getting ready to do a whole rebuild. I know, right? This is just a glimpse.
I don't know if you guys can see
of what we have here. But everything you saw here today, and we're on 4 acres. We're going to build a brand new campus.
Yeah.
Our veterinary clinic's going to be 4 times the size. We're going to have beautiful spaces for our dogs and cats that look like little kind of like living room kind of places.
Like Disneyland?
Instead of kind of, yeah. And yeah, so if you guys want to come live here,
Disneyland
rent free, you
here.
just have to volunteer.
Does he want to be a stray dog? Be stray in Santa Barbara.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. There actually is that, and I can connect you. So we're actually going to do this in 2 phases, and we're going to start building in June.
This June?
This June, 2025.
So what's the phase 1?
So phase 1 is going to be the smaller component, and we're building a behavior center and an intake building.
Okay.
And
where's that going to go?
That's going to go, you and I walked around, and where the old horse stalls where the old horse stalls used to be, back kind of in the back corner.
Oh.
Because we're going to have to utilize our back parking lot.
Oh, okay.
We also just got a beautiful mobile veterinary clinic.
Oh, great.
So we're ready to build phase 2, which is the big one, the big veterinary center, the adoption center, everything's, the majority of the work's going into phase 2.
Okay.
Phase 1, we'll still be able to do all the work for the community. We'll be able to do adoptions, intake, and veterinary services.
Okay.
In there. In a reduced fashion, we won't be able to do intakes from other shelters. You saw today, we just got in, was it 20 dogs, and we're getting 28 kittens on Friday.
Yeah.
Because we're what's called a destination shelter. Not just because we're in Santa Barbara,
but Santa Barbara is a destination for your life.
Right? I know. So that's what it feels like.
Of course it's a destination.
Dogs and cats are like, woo, made it. But we transfer in animals from overcrowded shelters.
Yeah.
So like some of the kittens are coming from Los Angeles. Some of the dogs come from Fresno, Bakersfield,
they're the
Los
lucky
Angeles.
Ones.
Yeah. And you met the dogs that came in.
Oh my God,
they're
they're great.
happy.
Yeah.
And it's a quiet space. I mean, we are sitting not too far from where the dog and cat kennels are, and can't hear anything because we keep our animals so busy. Our average length of stay for both dogs and cats is about 10 days, which is one of the shortest. And I love that.
I was like, that's amazing. I thought,
and this new space that we're going to be building, we still expect the animals to only be here for a short amount of time. And because we're expanding our veterinary services so much, we'll be able to do more for the care, keep the pets healthy, happy, and in homes. And that's what we want to see our community really thrive and step up. And because we're a training hospital for vet students, we'll also be able to do more to train the future of animal welfare folks in our industry. And I'm so proud of this community for stepping up to make this happen. Yeah. We still have more to do. We still have more fundraising to do. So anyone can come ask us. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you? And do you have a big fundraiser every year? Like how do you get the donations to be able to do all this?
Best and easiest place to go is go to our website. We have an amazing website. It's in Spanish and English.
Okay.
SBHumane.org. So you can figure out on there all of our services. Not figure out. You'll know all of our services.
Yeah.
There's a section on how to donate.
Okay.
There's also a section if you want to get a hold of us for the interest in the capital campaign. Maybe.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
If you want your name on the front of this building, I will talk to you after this podcast and we can make that happen.
Yeah.
We have all types of opportunities because this is going to be built for the community, by the community, and it's going to be built from the paws up.
Yeah. What is the budget on this? Can I ask?
Sure, you can ask. The number, most people are like, oh, we're not the highest and we're not the lowest currently being built in California. It's $64 million.
64?
And we've already, so we're doing it in 2 phases.
Yeah. Okay.
We are already 75% to phase 1. So we're almost done with phase 1.
Is,
phase 1 is
30 something.
It's 20 million.
20 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 18 million. It's 18 million for phase 1.
Wow.
And then the rest will be for phase 2.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this. This community deserves it. Our community loves our animals, and it's time that we step up and stop looking like we're stuck in the 60s.
Oh yeah, no.
And make this a real state-of-the-art campus that other organizations can go, we want to be you.
Exactly.
We want our campus and our community and our staff to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And this is why now's the time to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's perfect. If not now, when?
Yeah, exactly. So it's perfect timing for all of it.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. It was really great to meet you. Do that again. Sorry, I almost forgot about my other questions.
You got to bring that in.
Of course. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have so much to offer. Again, go to sbhumane.org. Check out the website.
Yeah.
Stop by. Give us a call. Whatever you need. We're always here to help.
I wonder do you guys ever do like regular tours?
We do. We have tours set up and people can
On certain
come.
times?
Yep. Just give us a call and we can get that scheduled to make that happen. You did ask about events. And again, on our website, we have our big event in Santa Barbara is our gala.
Oh, yeah. When is
that?
So
next year it is September. We're trying to lock in the date.
Yeah.
So you can check the website for when that's coming out. In Santa Maria, in April, we have our Wild West Fest.
Oh,
so we have another gala up there too. They're both amazing and fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out on the website for all that information that's coming in and sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
You can get all the information.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for this heartwarming episode. We hope you're leaving as inspired as we are by the incredible impact that SB Humane has on our community and the animals we love. SB Humane isn't just about helping animals. It's about strengthening our entire community through compassion, care, and connection. From life-saving veterinary services to adoption programs and training, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and follow us for more uplifting stories and insights into the difference caring people can make. To learn more about SB Humane or to adopt, donate, or get involved in their life-saving work, please visit sbhumane.org. Your support and compassion mean the world to animals in need, and together we can keep making a positive difference. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.